Welcome to Grow Your Young Living Business in 15 hours.
Mute us. Mute.
Oh, good idea. I should mute everybody since that way we don't have any problems. Let's see. Make sure, so mute y'all. Not that I don't love to hear from you, but I don't want to, the rustling of the papers and everything else gets in the background. So this way, at the end, I'll unmute you so you can ask your questions. But for you that don't know me, I am Leah Jervis. I'm a silver with Young Living, and I have been working at this for a little over 2 years now. I was awarded, and really I'm excited still about it, the Silver and 6 status, which means I hit the rank of silver within 6 months of hitting the rank of executive. So with that came some extra prizes they give you. I got an Aroma Complete kit. And then after that, once you maintain silver, you are awarded a trip to the lavender farms in Utah, which was amazing, silver retreat. And I feel like now I've gotten through all these, experiences that I'm obligated almost to now share them with you, and some of the things that I did that helped me get there, to see if you guys would find some benefit from it and pull out what is going to work in your lives. Because you'll notice from listening to like the Diamonds talk and their presentations that they've been doing recently, everybody does it a little different. So you're going to end up finding your way, but there's a few things in here that I think you'll find a common thread through everybody that's been doing this business. So let's see. Before I even started this as a business, I already loved the product. I had a great experience with it in my family. I knew that I would never be without Young Living Lavender ever again. Whether I had to like sell something to get it, I knew I was going to have lavender. So I already had a love for the products, but my journey with it as a business began a few months later. I'm going to share my screen here so that you can see some of the slides I've prepared for you guys. Most of them are fun, but just so you don't have to stare at my face all night long. So I'm going to pull some of that up, and hopefully you'll be able to see me still. Wave hi if you can still see me and the screen. Good. So my business journey has been a roller coaster ride. I think every single person that does this is going to find that same experience. It's a roller coaster ride. The ups and downs just in my first month alone, I think, is what would cause a lot of people to stop doing this. I'm glad I didn't, and I hope that you can find some parallels in your own life about the roller coaster rides you'll probably experience or have experienced, and why you should keep going anyways. Let's see, it was 2 years ago in August 2014, my mom, Julie, who's on this call, and she could wave, was coming to visit, and she asked me to get a few girlfriends together for an oils party, which at that time, I wasn't even sure what that meant. But I thought it sounded fun, and I knew we would have wine and oils, and I was sold. So I invited a dozen of my friends to come over. 3 showed up on time. 3. 2 trickled in after the class was ending. No one enrolled. That was the first party I had. One friend ordered a few oils retail. Another one, I think, ordered some Thieves Hand Purifier. Another friend, Amy, who's on this call, promised that she'd buy a kit on her next payday. I didn't know what to think, truthfully. I wasn't sold on this as a business yet, and this wasn't really doing it for me, but it was still a fun gathering. And about 2 weeks later, the friend that bought the kit bought the oils, came back and got a kit, and then Amy got her kit. So that was 2. And now I was starting to get excited. I was thinking, you know what, maybe there's something here. That's $100, and $100 would get me a lot of bottles of lavender. So that's where my head was at. Well, I started to think about what else I could do to get the word out there. So I went through and created an email and sent it to like everybody in my contacts list that I had an email address for. And basically, I mean, it was nothing like come buy oils from me, but just, hey, I've started this new adventure. I want to make sure you know about it. And I'm your oils girl for when you ever have the need. I had 3 people again replied, please take me off your mailing list. These are my friends and family. They're like, don't contact me about oils. But I had one person, my neighbor, who came back and she said to me, hey, I've heard some good things about those and I think they're going to help my boys. Can you come tell me about them? So the next day I marched down to her house, had her try on all my oils, and she ended up enrolling. Now at this point I wasn't even sure how to enroll somebody, but I'd asked my mom. She had printed me off one of these like Word documents on how to enroll people. If you put that on the call, make sure to mute yourself. Let's see, if somebody else, administrator, Maynard, mute your phone because I won't be able to do that.
Leah, can you mute that person?
I would probably have to be off this because I can't see how to mute them. So
Can you ask them to mute themselves then?
but you could mute them for me. Okay, so I went down to her house and we got her enrolled. I took down basically all the information that I thought I was going to need and brought it home. And I said to my mom, okay, how do I do this? And the other cool thing was she had a few friends that she thought would be interested. So we set a date up and she was going to invite her friends over. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do my first party. I was really psyched and I was determined to do it myself. I went home and I mean, the only experience I had was watching my mom pass the oils around and talk about what she knew. I thought, how hard could this be? So that's what I did. I went down to her house all prepared. I had found some really nice, totally not compliant sheets about the oils. I figured I'd just talk about the points that were on there. And I got there and nobody showed up. It doesn't seem like you're on top of the world and then you're like, it's that roller coaster ride. Your first party, and Aisha, I see you just came on. Please remember to put the phone on mute. It's like your first party and then nobody's there. So these things happen. It goes up and it goes down. It's the highs and it's the lows. Why I am telling you this is because if you know about it ahead of time, that it's not this like even keel smooth thing. I mean, this isn't a data entry job. You don't want that. That's boring. So there was a lot of highs and lows. Then I figured I had 3 people enrolled. I wasn't going to let this set me off. I thought I can do better than this. I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I have an ace in the hole. I'm going to call my dad. He owns a chain of health food stores. He is sure. I mean, I'm his daughter. He is sure to bring these oils into the stores. There's like 14 stores. I am going to be like on top of the world off of these stores. I could picture myself doing make and takes and teaching them and having employee trainings. And I had all these great ideas of how I was going to make them make money and turn this into a great business for me. So I got up the nerve. I called him up on the phone and I told him what my plan was. He was like, no. He's like, we don't do any network marketing companies in this chain. No. I'm like, Dad, you own the place. No. Sorry. I can't even do it for you. That's what he told me. Then he said, as I'm like sad, hurt, and angry, he's like, you know, if you're really hurting for money, you don't have to do network marketing. Why don't you just come back to your old job? I always have work for you. Like, he's trying to be nice, right? I'm like, ugh. What? Like, he didn't get the vision I had of this freedom of time that I wanted and to be home with my kids. That was, I mean, I think for a lot of people, that would have been the final nail in the coffin. Nobody shows up to their first party. They get 3 rejections through their emails, and then their dad shoots them down as like, are you kidding me? But no, that was the absolute turning point for me where I said, I have something to prove now. I am going to prove that I can make this work without that kind of help from him or anybody. I know I can do this. And that was it. I had to go out and do it. So I was thinking, what else can I do now? I need to get out there. I need to get in front of people. I'm not having the success right off the bat that I was hoping. So I started taking to social media. I probably like verbal vomited all over Instagram and Facebook. And I mean, I suppose it was okay. Before the month was over, I had another friend enroll. So in my mind, I don't know if you guys are probably more familiar with the compensation plan that I was at the time, but I was estimating like $200. And I figured that's pretty good. I was excited to get it, but I was even more excited the next month when let me see. I'm going to stop sharing just so I can look at you guys because I want to see you guys. I was more excited the next month when the check came in. It was actually over $300. I was like, woohoo! And then at that point also, I got a gift from one of my upline members who told me I was a star. I'm like, ooh, what's this? So I got the compensation plan and I started watching videos on YouTube, and I was determined to learn how to run my business from that. And I think that was really, it was like that moment when my dad said no, and it's the end of August, and I'm like, I'm going to make this work. So I set my goals. The next month I was set on getting Senior Star, which I did not do, but I was determined to try. But the following month, my check came back, and it was over $500. And I never had one lower than that. It just kept going up. So I was really excited that it was starting to snowball into something bigger. So the reason is I had to tell you that because it was like this the whole time, and it felt like a roller coaster ride that wasn't stopping. Now, months later, I still have those moments. I still have people that parties where people don't show up. I still have one-on-ones where I'm already at the place and somebody cancels. But you know what? It's not about that. It's about me being consistent and productive. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about in an efficient amount of time. So on to my first point. You probably saw my little slide come up there. So what did I do to make it happen? I narrowed it down, looking back over the few years from what I already knew going into it and what I learned going through it. I've narrowed it down to really 6 steps that I think are going to be the most important. First, you'll find that most people, ourselves included, are in the employee mindset. So we show up to our jobs because we want the check. We are willing to go there to trade our time for money. We need that check. We need our home, our cars, our stomachs, our families. They all need that check. They demand that check come in. In truth, being an employee is easy. It's because the decision is simple. You show up or you don't get paid. So what is it that the employee does that can help us be successful? How can we take those steps and lay them over our own business to make our minds understand this? So number 1, let me go back to share my screen so I can show you my fancy slides. Number 1, you have got to show up. Seriously, you're like, that is her first step. Do you know how many people don't act, they say they're in business with Young Living, but they set aside 0 time to run their business. And if they do, they're going to say, this many hours this week I'm going to be working. They don't actually do it. You have to show up for work. You have to stay focused during your work time. I know that sounds overly simplified, but let me tell you, my interests in life are not just Young Living. I have my family, and in myself, our primary thing is going to be our relationship with God, with the people on this planet that he saw fit to give his son's life for, my children's needs, emotionally, physically, intellectually. I'm interested in health in general, not just my own health. I love learning about traditional cultures and historical medicines, places that haven't been touched by like modern medicine. I love how we could take modern science and study what they've done and then prove how their methods were superior in many ways. I also, people, this is funny, I wrote this down as an example. People used to laugh and say, well, yeah, but they used like poo in their medical practices. Well, I know it sounds nuts, but now, I don't know if you know this, people are actually getting fecal matter transplants to replace lost bacteria from years of abuse and misuse of antibiotics. So maybe there was a lot more to it than we really know about. Another thing, I love reading classic literature. I love education on parenting and how children learn and all of this. Why am I telling you all this? Why I enjoy learning about business and marketing and human psychology. But those are my interests. Those are the things I like to do. But Young Living, it complements my interests. It's my business though. I love the product. I love the feeling of accomplishment. I love what it does for my health goals, but really it's my business. It's not my hobby like the other things I listed, or my interests, or my responsibilities. It's my business. It won't work unless I do. It doesn't grow unless I grow. It won't make money unless I'm actually doing the income producing activities required. So I need to treat it like a business. Your schedule, you have to make a schedule, and you have to show up on time, ready to work. So that is why step one has to be show up. All right. I had a little funny on here somewhere. Let me see if I can make it work. There we go. Just because we all need to see a hot dude say a cute quote to sometimes let it sink in. But if you, I think if you show up and you work hard and you're straightforward, you can always create your own opportunities. I hope I'm right. Well, Corey, I think you're right, because I agree with you on that. Number 2, do your job. That's a Bill Belichick quote, Hunt. How do you like that? Do your job. New England Patriots. So that's number 2. I know these all sound overly simple, but this is what an employee does. They show up to work, they do their job, or they don't get paid, right? So now you are an employee of you. You're employed by you. Would you pay yourself for the job you're doing? Scrolling through Facebook, avoiding follow-up phone calls. This is where network marketing makes business ownership simple. You have a turnkey system with network marketing. That means that they tell us just what we need to do to be successful, and the better that we do them, the more successful we'll be. So what are those tasks, and how do you fit them into 15 hours a week? You probably have heard of the 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule, let me see, because I want to see your faces again, because you guys are beautiful. The 80-20 rule says that 80% of your time needs to be spent doing income producing activities. The other 20%, or we'll say 19%, needs to be spent in educating yourself, becoming better at what you do. So you need to set your schedule ahead of time, like before the month comes, before you actually have the party planned or somebody ready to even have a party. I want you to block out the time in your schedule for it. So when people say, when can we do this? You could say, these are the times I have available, and block them out. Block out times for one-on-ones, block out times throughout the week where you can spend inviting people to these classes, either on Facebook or in person, or a lot of people are like, I can't do this at my house. My house is messy. I don't feel like cleaning up. My kids are noisy. Find somewhere else to do it. I was talking to Michaela. She's on this call. I was like, you don't want all these moms in your home that you hardly know because, they're from a Facebook group. Have it at the local indoor kids gym where the kids can play and you can sit around and chat with them. You could do it at a Big B's Coffee. We've done classes there. That works out great. It doesn't have to be at your house. You don't have to make a big food spread. You just have to set the schedule and show up and do your job. So these are the income producing activities that you need to schedule at least 12 hours of your 15 hours doing. You need to write it down. You need to share that with your spouse and your family. And I can promise from my own experience, and my husband's in the background right here, he can verify it. I have plenty of times scheduled out my month and I'm like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And he's like, you're doing what? As I'm walking out the door. So explain it to your family, explain it to your kids. It does help to have them on board and in support of what you're doing. Because if you were going to get up and go to a job, they'd want to know that too, right? So set your work schedule ahead of time. Here's another point I wanted to add to. Each prospect that's added to our system is going to take some time to go from them being interested to be a full all-on card-carrying Young Living member. So that length of time is determined by really 3 things, but 2 things that you can affect. And one is your proficiency and your consistency. And the third would be timing in their own life. So 2/3 of that equation is you. So this is really the other 19% or 20% of the time that you're going to be spending should be on educating yourself, improving your proficiency. I think I had some slides up here for that. Let me see if I can pull those up too. Share screen, PowerPoint. Let's see. Oh, sorry. So now we're back on here. I can't seem to move this out of the way either. Okay. So let's go on from here. Work harder than you work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Jim Rohn, he's pretty great. So if you guys are looking for some material to read to improve your skills, he's a good one to look at. But what does that mean? Because I just told you like 80-20. Well, it doesn't mean spend more time necessarily on learning about how you can improve yourself than you do your job. What that means is spend some time learning about it and then work on actually applying these into your life. The hardest part is changing ourselves. A lot of times we get in this mindset that we want to learn it all at once. There's no way we can apply every single principle that we learn all at once. So you're going to improve yourself little by little. Learn one thing and then do the hard part, which is work on applying it into your life. Learn something else, work on applying it. You know, especially when it comes to, we might think about sales tactics. I don't think that a lot of them are necessary, but I do think conscious language is important so that we're making sure that as we present this, we're doing our best to help them and not to sell them. So for example, just really quick, essential rewards is something that is going to help them. We don't want to sell them on the idea. We just want to present it in a way that they're going to realize that it's going to fit their needs best. And I don't know anybody that it doesn't. The second thing is, so that kind of touches on our proficiency. The second thing that I mentioned is our consistency. Let's see, I don't know if I can move this out of the way. So we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. So you got to think about that. If you're continually learning, working on your proficiency and adding to it and applying it and consistently growing, that's where the excellence is going to come in. Do not expect that first month in your business that you're going to be perfect at this. I am sure that email I sent out and those graphics I was posting on Facebook came across as salesy and pushy, and it wasn't really what I'd want to have come across now, but I've gotten better. And I think that shows in how my business has grown as well. The other 1%, if we had to say 19% for growing, the other 1% is problems that are going to crop up. There'll always be something. You're going to need to call customer service on occasion. You might have questions on things that you can't otherwise answer. That's like 1%. Keep those down to a minimum. If it doesn't fit into those areas, or you don't have time in your week left after you've done your income producing activities and you've done your learning, it needs to just get tossed. It's not important to your growth right now. You're accountable. This is step 3, accountability. You're accountable for completing the task in a specified amount of time, right? That's how an employee is. You show up for work, you do your job, and you got to actually complete the job the way the boss wants it in a specified amount of time. You got a deadline on it. So this is really what step 3 is. You're in the business of sales. I don't know if you do that. You probably were catching wind of that. Whether you like to sell or not, that's the business this is. Certain things are required if you'd actually like to help people get on board. And number 1, and this is really what is generally the hardest for people, is you need to follow up now. I mean, not right on this call, but when somebody messages you a question, a lot of times we get this response, oh yeah, we'll have to get together on that. When? Set the time. Call them out. If they text you on Instagram or Facebook or through the phone and be like, hey, what does Lavender do? Oh yeah, Lavender does this, this, and this. How about I come over and let you try my oils? How about I show you them? I can come this time or this time, and try to make it like within a few days, right? Because that's what a good business person would do. Do the best you can with, of course, the time you've already slotted out for your business. You need to maximize your time because it's limited. 15 hours a week is not that much time, but it is enough time. When you're showing the oils, So in a class setting or even in a one-on-one setting, being most efficient with your time is going to help you paint the entire picture for the people that you're talking to. You want to show your kit and say, this is your kit. These are your oils. You'll have all these oils in your kit. Here's your Panaway. Your Panaway has, as you're passing it around, rub your Panaway on your knee, whatever you want. But you want to paint the picture. This is theirs. This is what they're going to go home with. And as you go over each oil also, remind them, who do you think this is going to help of your friends? Who do you think would like to try this oil? Have them write that name down on the sheet. Remind them as a wholesale member during the presentation, they're going to get a nice sizable discount, 24% off. Many of our members, I say this throughout the presentation, get their orders paid for. This helps eliminate some of the objections to it's too much money. Well, that's okay. Let's get it paid for. And offer to show them how to do it. And I would not even say this if it's like a one-on-one conversation. We're saying this during the presentation. When you go to reorder, you can get additional free products and points to earn on whatever you like through our optional Essential Rewards program. We're going to mention this during the presentation, especially we might be talking about Panaway and the topic's going to come up, some other things that might also help. But we got Ortho Ease and we got Deep Relief. You might want to write those down on your wish list, because those are the ones that when we actually get to enrolling them, we're going to add those to their ER cart and they'll already have their wish list in their mind for what they need. And all of this is going to be mentioned during the class. Instead of just we teach about the oils, and then we have a little whisper at the end about how we're going to enroll you. And we might follow up the next week with them and talk about Essential Rewards. And then we might wait for a month and ask them if they've let any of their friends borrow it. We don't want to do that. We have 15 hours. We have to maximize our time. This all has to be discussed during the class. I like to discuss it actually to the entire audience. Nobody feels put on the spot at that time. And then as I'm enrolling them at the end, I actually find I can walk them through the website. Here's also another way to save your time. Don't enroll them don't do it for them. You don't want to have to go back and teach them how to enroll somebody. So they enroll themselves on the website. They get to step 2. That's where here you could either add the Thieves kit to your cart, or you can add the Ninja Red kit. I know you really want to try that Ninja Red. And if they say, you know what, I can't do that right now, say no problem. I'll show you how when we're done placing this order. We could start your Essential Rewards cart and add those other products you wanted. And that could ship out later in the month. Breaks up the order a little bit. It's a little easier, but we still have the opportunity to put them on Essential Rewards, which is going to benefit them. It's really, for you guys, it's about your belief. You want to save them money. You want to get them the products they need. Then we need to talk about these things up front. Let me think. Another thing. I got ahead of myself, so I just started talking. Oh, at the end of enrolling them, another thing I think is important. And Julie and I were talking about this earlier. She likes to follow up with them in a day or two and show them how to use the virtual office. I just don't have time for that much follow-up. I mean, follow-up is important, but I need to do it a different way. So the way I do it is as I'm finishing enrolling them, I show them just the quick links on the side of the virtual office and what each one of those links to. It doesn't take but a couple minutes. I also go to my account, get their member number, and I write it in the welcome guide. I tell them, don't worry if you can't remember what all these links do. The welcome guide tells you, and you're always welcome to call me or customer service. They could walk you through it easily. So those options are there as well. Oh, and then I take that paper and I make sure to tuck it in the welcome guide because they're generally going to hang on to those items. And then that's also their list of who they're going to invite first. When we're done with all that, I get my calendar out and we pick a date for their party. And then I give them a share guide when they actually say they're going to do it. So that's kind of my way to combine a lot in one. And you're saying, well, how can you do that with so many people? I don't like the big parties with 30 people. I find if you have 20 people at a party, or if you have 6 people at a party, you're probably going to enroll about the same amount of people because they need personal attention and they're going to walk out if they don't have it. Okay, so I probably beat this one to a pulp, but this I think is one of the most important points. You've got your schedule, you're going to work, and here's the tasks that need to be done. One more point about it though, your upline isn't your boss. So sometimes they'll ask us questions and we're like, oh my goodness, it's like a boss. It's not, they're not your boss. They could be your accountability partner. The difference is they're running their own business outside of yours. They really, really are. So they're only checking with you because they need to put their energy where the motivation is. If you are taking it and you're running with it, they're going to want to work with you all the way. Tashina's on this call. Tashina could ask me to go anywhere in Michigan or Ohio, and I would go to help her team grow because I see how motivated she is to work her business, and I want to do everything I can to help her. But she's out there. She has her schedule. She goes to work, and she knows what tasks she's going to accomplish. I mean, like, far better than me at these things. She's very diligent about it. So I feel like you put your energy where the motivation is. Now, don't take offense if you're not meeting up with all that motivation and they start putting their attention elsewhere. It's not a personal insult. You can still be my friend. I still love you. It's not about that. But when it comes to my business time, I just need to spend it elsewhere where it's going to matter, where it's going to count more. It's just not during work hours. We could spend some fun time elsewhere when I have time for those things. Oh yeah, here I had a couple cute quotes. So we should go back to sharing the screen. So give me a second. Basically just this, let's see. It is not only what we do, but also what we do not do for which we are accountable. Because a lot of times we think about all the things that we've done for our business, but are they the things that are income producing? And what about did we leave out all the things that are important, the things that we didn't do? Let's see. The other one, you'll never accomplish the results you want until you're willing to do what you don't necessarily want to do. I thought that was perfect. A lot of the hardest parts of this business are making the calls to invite people, following up with people, and having the class to me is the fun part. So most people are okay. Point number 4, and I've gotten through the meat of this. So these points are kind of supplementary to that, but shake it off, right? I feel like I should have the music playing in the background. Little Taylor Swift. People are going to doubt you. Your dad is going to tell you should go back to your old job and that he's not going to help you out. Sometimes people won't show up to your parties. It will happen. You're going to bomb it sometimes. You're going to lose the sale. Some of your friends, I hate to tell you, they're not going to like network marketing. They're not going to like the oils. They're not going to like how they smell. They're not going to even like you sometimes. I mean, it's just, that's life. You just got to shake it off. If you watch any of the Diamond Stories, you'll realize that they don't have anything you don't have. The only difference is how many people they talk to versus how many people you've talked to so far. They've had the same roller coaster ride, the same rejection, the same ups and downs through all of it. They've had to learn how to be more efficient, more productive, more consistent. The right attitude is always gratitude. So even if we get a little bit of flack from our friends, shake it off. Just be grateful that, we got friends that are even out there. The other part about shaking it off is you are what you choose to be, not what you're told you are. So this is going to be like a little God talk here. So if you guys aren't, of the same religion or even Christian, then I apologize. But this is my life, so I have to talk about it. But I believe that the Bible says we're made in God's image. His name literally means he can choose to become whatever is necessary to accomplish his purpose. So realistically, we're limited by our own imperfections, but you let your imperfections limit your choices. I have to show you this video because when we were at convention, we saw this awesome dude. His name's Kyle Maynard. And well, I just got to show it to you. Let me see if I can get this. I'm going to stop this share and start a new share so you guys can watch this because he is something. Let me see. Where did I have it up here? Maybe it was here. Let me see. Here he is. Okay, so I'm gonna start him over, and so you guys can watch him. I'm only gonna play like the first minute because I think it's enough impact in seeing this that you'll realize how awesome this is. Hold on, I'm gonna actually stop this one and start a new one because we gotta make sure the audio is working. So let's try this again. All right, computer sound is on. All right, share screen. Okay, back to Kyle. All right, let me make him big and play.
I would say my purpose in life, at least from my perspective, would be to help show other people their purpose, help show other people their capabilities, help show other people their human potential.
Kyle's life, I believe, he was sent here for a reason. He may look disabled, but he's not. And that's inspiring.
I don't give up easily on things. Every excuse that we make keeps us away from the things that we want the most out of life.
It is that attitude which has brought 25-year-old Kyle Maynard to Tanzania.
I'm like hyperventilating right now.
To attempt something that at first glance makes him seem delusional. Kyle Maynard wants to climb to the 19,431-foot peak of Mount Kilimanjaro.
When I first heard it, I thought it was a joke.
It's his goal to, show the world that you can achieve any goal that you want. Kyle's always had crazy dreams like that, but he goes out and he does them.
At home in Georgia, Kyle has long been defying expectations and taking care of his own needs, all unimaginable 25 years ago.
The day Kyle was born was
So seriously, was he disabled? Was he disadvantaged? Do you think he had some emotional battles to overcome? Was he limited by his circumstances? He successfully climbed Kilimanjaro. He was the first one in his condition, if you want to call it that, to do it. The only real blocker any of us have, including Kyle Maynard, is in our heads. And I think it's important for us to realize that people can tell us all kinds of negative things, but it's up to us. We can choose to overcome it. It doesn't mean it wasn't harder for him physically, but he decided in his head what he was going to do. I'm going to let you guys think about that. I don't want to beat on that one anymore. The next subject, and one of our second to last, is something that I learned along the way, unfortunately, is that you got to stop and take care of yourself. You get 15 hours a week for your business. You have time set aside for maybe another job. You have to carve out time for you and making sure you get enough sleep. This really ties in with the idea that you choose who you're going to be. You need to take care of yourself because there is nobody on earth that can do it for you. Nobody can make you exercise or eat right? Nobody can improve your mental health by telling you, let's think about something else. If you aren't happy, don't look for somebody to blame. You have to ask yourself, am I filling my needs? This is a lesson that I learned mostly through experience because for me, the way I worked in the hours for business was when everybody was sleeping, and it started to tax me, my health, my relationship with my kids, because then I was grumpy the next day. And then frankly, it started to tax my business too, because I was not up on my game. I was less professional than I ought to have been. I still have this problem. This is from eating chocolate. I make a few still bad food decisions. You eat chocolate, your skin's going to break out. I don't do good with dairy and sugar. I mean, I know these things, but a number of these bad decisions piled up on top of each other put you in a bad place. So you need to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself means, like, exercise, eating healthy, and like doing good things for you, not binge watching Netflix. That's not taking care of you. It does mean that you need to get your rest. So why this conversation and one about business? Because what you do outside of those 15 hours a week is really just as important as what you're doing during those 15 hours a week. Yeah, because it's going to affect every other area of your life. And you're in business now. So this is another thing that you're adding on. Plus, I mean, you represent a wellness company. So you might look at yourself and think, I am hardly the media's vision of health and wellness, but you can be somebody's hero. Think about it. Somebody else looks at you and the steps you're taking. People want it real. They want real life. Think about how popular reality TV shows. I mean, this is a classic example. You guys know Shannon Hudson. A lot of you have seen her talk. She might not look the epitome of health and wellness, but once you learn her story and how far she's come and the things that she's doing and how she's keeping herself well, it doesn't matter what she might look like. We love her. So you need to take care of yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Last point. Let's see. Screen share. Where's my screen share? Got to show you my slides because, let's see. PowerPoint. Share. Back to this guy. Let's see. Take care of yourself. You are amazing. Remember that. I put this slide in for a special friend of mine who is amazing. It needs to remember that. Last point. Do not give up. Mom, you have to love this, right? Because Larry has had this, Larry's my stepdad, in his office for as long as I can remember. It's hanging up in there. So I had to find that exact picture. Don't ever give up. Remember that first month I was in business? Think about it. The ups and the downs. How many people give up that first month? How many people give up when they have the first party at their house and nobody buys a kit? You get a couple, a retail customer or two. How many people give up when they go to teach their first class and nobody shows up? How many people give up because their family doesn't like what they're doing? Lots of them. This company has only about 2% that go on to grow this into a business. So that means 98% of them gave up. But you guys are on this call, and that means I know you want this. So never, ever give up. I think that's really the key to all of it. You keep growing, you keep applying, work consistently, showing up for work during that time on the tasks that matter, income producing activities, and you will grow this business. That is it. That's what I got for you. So I want to take a moment, and you guys can unmute yourselves if you want. I know I talked forever, and I talk a lot, but I want to hear what you got to say. Do you have any questions, particular challenges that you might have in your own circumstances? How would you work these in? I'm not gonna unmute you guys because I want you to unmute yourselves so that you don't talk over each other. Anybody have a question? I could show my schedule at the end. Why don't you do that, Tashina? I'd love to see your schedule. I think a lot of people probably enjoy seeing your schedule.
So what would you say was the first thing that you did when you first started out? Make that 100 list?
Yeah, if you guys are working with your upline, the first thing you need to do is probably look at the STAR training. The 100 list is super helpful. Basically, it's a list that you created with 100 names on it of people that you're talking to. There's a memory jog around there. It helps you see all the people you have to network with. I also think that it's important to realize you have more than one network of people. So there's the people in your congregation. There's, the people that you might have become friends with your kids at school, their parents. Yeah, of course, this is all relating to my life, right? There's maybe the employees of the job that you work with, You've got several networks of people. Tashina works in business building groups. Those are another network of people that you have to work with. You've got your friends from high school that you could call up and work with. I mean, it goes around and round. It's when you have your friends and your family. I mean, you have all of those people. You can put them on your 100 list and start dividing it up because you don't want to think about one party. You want to think about 2 parties this month, one on Facebook and time set aside 1 week for one-on-ones. that would be your ideal first month. And then, of course, having your schedule open up for next month already so that you could start plugging parties into there from other people. Did I answer your question in a long way?
Yeah.
Tina, did you want to share your schedule? I'm not sure if you can even hear me.
Sure, it is absolutely nothing special because I'm a red and I don't use spreadsheets. But just to reiterate, like, what I do, because it's exactly what I do. So it's just called December 15th. That's the last time that I tried to make like a 4 to 6 week schedule and beyond. I have my one-on-one availabilities, and I put exactly when I can go there. This is created after I create my service schedule. So I'm working more right now because I'm off my GM job. So I created my service schedule first, and I'm going to get some extra time while I'm off and be out Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays for the couple of weeks that I'm off, and then during the CO visit. And then after that, then I determine when I'm going to try to do one-on-ones. So I literally go through, have a calendar there, and I say the times that I'm able to do one-on-ones, fitting it around networking events that I have. And then after that, I write the times I have availability for home parties. And those fit around the one-on-one schedules that I have. And again, my service schedule, like a lot of these you can see Saturday or Sunday, they're late in the evening because I have to get the fill service in first. And then at the very bottom of that, I actually just have a couple of videos that I send for recaps on my one-on-ones after I do them. So again, it's just a Word document. It's very simple. But like Leah was saying, you have to have that in your head first. So when I go to a networking event, I get 10 business cards. I then decide that I wanted to meet with 8 of those people. I email them, and I just copy and paste that one-on-one availability and say, when can we get together? Where do you live? I wait for them to email me back, and I book those one-on-one. I had a one-on-one right before I came here. Like, I got home at 7:30 from a one-on-one that I use this schedule to get it booked. And then when I get with my team leaders, the same thing. I'm like, well, we don't have any home parties for you. Here's my availability. Cut and paste, and I send it in the email to them.
Tashina, answer this question. Is it realistic to think you could do this business in 15 hours a week?
Yes.
How many hours do you usually work when you're not on vacation?
Let's see.
On your Young Living business?
It'll average between 12 to 18 hours. So if I had a good weekend, then I would have 3 home parties. Like, that would be amazing. If I have 3 home parties, then that would be, I usually stay there 4 hours just because people don't show up on time. So that would be like a heavy week where I have 3 home parties would be my 12 hours on the weekend. And then I spend probably an hour a day, 3 times a week, doing some type of follow-up. And then I do one-on-ones in a period of about 3 hours. I do Wednesday and a couple times on Friday. So somewhere between, usually the average is 15, but it'll be somewhere between 12 to 20.
Right.
Tashina, those 3 parties that you do in a course of a week, you said, are those just your parties, or are you helping your downline or your team members with their parties?
They're usually my team members' parties. Like,
okay.
So in November, I had 2 personal parties and I had 2 team member parties. In December, I had 0 of my own parties. In January, I will be having 1 to 2 of my own and hopefully 4 of my downline.
So realistically, you don't often have 3 in a weekend. That's like a once in a blue moon. If you, on average, you probably do 1 a weekend. And some weekends, do times ever go by that there isn't one scheduled?
For the past 8 weeks, I don't think I've not had a weekend then that one is scheduled. And then personally, what I've been doing recently is sometimes when I don't have something scheduled, if that were to happen, then I would probably find a networking event to go to.
Cool. So, I just point that out right now, you're working really hard on hitting silver. You're awfully close to it the last 2 months. So I know this month is like everything you can throw out at it. So, and when you're pushing for a new rank, and I'll be honest, back when I was going for from the time I hit executive to the time I hit silver, there were plenty of weeks in there I did work 20 hours easily. There were also a few weeks in there I didn't work 20 hours. But I mean, when you're pushing hard and you want something, then sometimes you'll make those sacrifices too. Like there were weekends that I did 2 parties. I've never had 3 parties in a weekend, ever. So, I mean, everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. And Tashina's a go-getter, so she's got a lot. And we've all had ups and downs through this too. I'm sure, Tashina, have you ever had somebody not show up to a party?
All of the time, people don't show up to parties. Happens. Or one person shows up and there's 3 of us there. And I mean, and also my schedule for the past 3 months has been completely different because I became a single person in 3 months as well. So I don't have kids. I don't have a quality time husband anymore. So that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. And we got to account for all those differences too. Any other questions from those that are just getting started? For some roadblocks, what are some roadblocks that you see to your success in this? And it's okay.
That I have a lot. I have a number, I don't know if you can hear me. I have a number of friends that like oils, but they all use like cheaper quality oils. And they're always saying that Young Living oils are too expensive. And I know the quality is awesome, but how do you deal with that? Like people that are interested in oils but don't want to spend more money for Young Living. How do you deal with that?
That's a good question, Kate. Why do you use Young Living oils? Why do you think that they're awesome? And why aren't you using like cheap now brand oils?
I honestly have severe allergic reactions to all the oils that I've tried except Young Living. I haven't tried a lot of other brands, but I've been using Young Living for, 10 years probably. I just really like the products. And I don't really know how to tell somebody that it's worth that much more money, but I personally react very badly to low quality oils.
So your own experience has helped you appreciate why a better quality oil makes a difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was in the same boat. With my family owning the health food stores, I got all the oils I wanted for free. I just would call my husband and he'd call a rep and he'd come home with what I wanted. So it was hard for me to initially even try them. But once I did is what made all the difference. And yeah. I have some people still tell me, oh, but this one works really good for me. Well, it might, but I have literally I swear, I think I've tried nearly every brand that's out there or something that's comparable. And I had never had the assistance from lavender for my daughter like I did with the Young Living oils. Dana, did you want to pipe in on this one? Because I know it took you a while too to make the conversion.
Sure. I'll just say too, I think sharing your experience first and foremost, and then also it has a lot to do with kind of how you present it. Sometimes I know for me personally, because I'm kind of cheap, oh, well, they are really expensive. You help them appreciate the value through your experience, as well as having the confidence when you're talking about it, then they too will kind of have that confidence. So for me too, like I've used essential oils for years and years and years. People would have cabinets of that. Acacia, I had Alchemy. I mean, pretty much every brand I had cabinets and cabinets full. But yet, when it came to my allergy or seasonal discomforts, I was still taking medicine. I would have my little oil recipes that I would make up, and people knew me as like the essential oil person. But it wasn't until slowly I started using the Young Living and having the results that I was like, no, there's a difference. It's not just aromatherapy. It's not just it smells good, but there is a therapeutic benefit to oils. And so sometimes too, with some of these people that don't see the value, when you build up that value, and then even possibly they might have to just use 1 or 2 oils and have that experience for them to really see the results.
That makes sense.
Kate, thank you for asking. I know sometimes it's hard to put yourself out there, but your question is probably one other people have. And so I'm glad that you are bold enough to come out and ask it.
Can I pipe in a little bit too?
What?
Yeah, can I pipe in a little bit too?
Yeah, please do.
So Kate, for me, I use Dana and Leah's experience in every single class. Like I literally, because I'm not the person that used the oils, I always say, my business partner, her family owns the Better Health stores, and she took 3 months to get her kit. And my sister, she used oils for 20 years, and they could clearly see the difference when they started. So I edify other people, and I use that. And then one of the other things that has worked really well for me recently is showing that the oils aren't that expensive. Like the value of the kit, when you get 12 oils, is $400 this month. And if you break it down, when you spend $180, you pay $45 for the membership, and you pay $10 per bottle of oil, and you get a diffuser for free. I did a Facebook video and I said that, and someone that I had shown the Young Living oils to that Friday saw that Facebook video and bought their kit. Sometimes you have to get them to understand 180 to drop at one time, and also use the feel, felt, found method. Like, I didn't have $180 when I went to my home party, and tell them that. I understand $180 at one time is expensive, but when I learned the value of the oils, I knew that it was worth it, and I had to save up for it. And so I got it with my next check. So I think, like Leah says, sharing your own experience and sharing other people's experience and making sure you break down the true value. $10 a bottle of oil is not more than it costs at Walmart. It's not. It's just you're spending it all at one time.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't want anybody to pay for oils. So if they say it's too much money, okay, great. Let's have a home party and get your kit free. Nobody should have to. That's why there's a business opportunity. All right, we're at the 9:30 mark. I'm sorry, I kind of talked a little longer than I meant to too, but if there's one last question anybody might have, we can squeeze it in before I send you all off to your families. And before Michaela brings my boy home to me. Any other questions? Okay, so then when we hang up, you guys are going to go on Vital 180 and print out your star planner and figure out who you're going to be calling during the times you've set aside for work, and then you're going to show up to work and get it done next week, right?
Yes, woohoo, woohoo. But I'm not doing a star planner though. I got to get through the rest of my silver videos. That's what I'm doing.
Unless you're past the star planner, then you're excused from that exercise and you'll go into the next level. But there's star planner we never grow up out of. Really, it's awesome. I love the star planner. I still use it. All right, everybody. Go ahead, Mama.
Any new ones on here who are not on Vital 180? That is our Royal Crown Diamonds website made for everybody on the team, and that's where the star planner is. And if you go in there to the B2, what is it, you guys? B2NL?
Yes.
That's where you want to go. That's the tab or whatever that you want to click on, and it's a whole educational course there for you from beginning to silver. If you're so inclined, that's where I would start. That's where most of us all started.
Awesome. So. Thank you.
All right, love you guys.
Bye, you guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.
Night, Dal.
Thank you.